There's a kind of mistake that even the wisest among us commit, not a mistake in logic, not a flaw in judgment, but a mistake in who we choose to help. We live in a world where kindness is celebrated, where we're encouraged to always offer a hand, to never turn away from someone in need. But what if I told you that sometimes the most loving thing you can do for someone is to walk away? In trying to help others, we often end up carrying burdens that were never ours to begin with, draining our energy and sacrificing our peace for people who have no intention of changing. In Stoicism, there's a powerful truth: we cannot control others, but we can always control how we respond. Every time you try to save someone who refuses to rise on their own, you are handing over your own power. So today, we're diving deep into the types of people you must never try to save, the ones who will only drag you down with them. These aren't just toxic people, they're emotional parasites, energy thieves, and recognizing them might be the very first step toward reclaiming your inner peace and your strength. If you are ready to stop carrying other people's weight and start living with purpose, consider subscribing so you commit to your own growth, your own wisdom, and fully embracing the Stoic mindset that helps you face life with clarity. The chronically lazy. Let's start with the chronically lazy. These are the people who somehow manage to drain your energy without ever lifting a single finger. They'll tell you life is unfair, that they're struggling non-stop, but when you look closer, you realize they're not doing anything to improve their situation. They have an endless list of complaints, each one sounding like they're about to change, but they never actually move. It's a loop of self-pity that never ends, and it's incredibly easy to fall into the trap of helping them, because their struggles seem so real, right? They might even make you believe you're the only one who can help them. You want to think that if you just give a little more, they'll turn it around, they'll finally take that step toward progress. But the truth is, the more you give, the more they take, and in the end, they stay exactly where they started. Here's the uncomfortable truth: when you help someone who won't help themselves, you're not being compassionate, you're enabling their dependency. They're not grateful for your efforts. They become entitled to your time, your energy, your resources. They'll return again and again, pulling at your emotions, using guilt and pity as tools to keep you giving more. And no matter how much you offer, it's never enough. They will always need more, because the real issue isn't that they need support, it's that they refuse to grow. They'd rather lean on you than face the discomfort of responsibility. It's tempting to believe you're doing the right thing, that you're being a good person, that kindness means giving endlessly. But what happens when kindness crosses into enabling? What happens when your compassion becomes the very thing stopping them from evolving? Kindness doesn't always mean giving more. Sometimes the most compassionate act is stepping back and allowing them to face the consequences of their own choices. That doesn't mean abandoning them. It means giving them the space to learn the lessons they've been avoiding. It's hard, it feels cold, even harsh, but sometimes hitting their own bottom is the only way they'll realize something must change. I'm not saying stop helping people entirely, of course not. But you must be wise about where you invest your energy. The Stoics taught us to focus only on what's within our control, and you cannot control someone into changing. You can guide, you can support, but you cannot carry their entire weight forever. If you're not careful, you'll drain yourself, you'll burn out while they remain trapped in the same cycle of laziness. As Marcus Aurelius said, waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be one. Sometimes, being a good person means knowing when to stop giving and when to allow someone to stand on their own 2 feet. It's painful to walk away when you see someone struggling, but if they refuse to put in the effort to help themselves, your constant support only fuels their dependence. And what does that teach them? It teaches them that they never have to change, because someone else will always show up to rescue them. The longer you enable their laziness, the longer they remain stuck in the same stagnant place, waiting for you to fix everything for them. But you cannot repair a life for someone who has no desire to repair it themselves. If you keep putting out their fires, they'll never learn how to handle the flames on their own. It might feel wrong, even selfish, to pull back, but in truth you're giving them something far more meaningful than a temporary solution. You're giving them the chance to take ownership of their own life. If they can't gather the strength to stand without leaning on you, then maybe it's time to let them stumble a little. As painful as it is to watch someone fall, those are often the exact moments that ignite the transformation they desperately need. The Stoics believed that adversity is one of life's greatest teachers. It's in the struggle that real growth happens. If you constantly shield someone from the consequences of their laziness, you're robbing them of the opportunity to evolve. If you find yourself carrying someone who doesn't even attempt to walk, it's time to step back. Let them feel the discomfort of their own choices. Let them experience the sting of their own inaction. Only then, when they realize no one is going to rescue them forever, might they finally find the motivation to change. It's not easy, but it's necessary. Your kindness isn't serving them if it keeps them trapped in a comfortable state of doing nothing. So ask yourself, is your help actually helping, or is it only delaying the consequences they need to face? Let them fall, and maybe, just maybe, they'll rise. The ungrateful. Now let's talk about the ungrateful ones. These are the people who will take everything you offer without a moment's reflection. You give them your time, your energy, your love, and yet when they've drained you completely, they'll still complain about what you didn't give. No matter how much you sacrifice, it's never enough. They take and take, but the instant you stop giving, they turn on you. They'll accuse you of failing them, of not caring as much as they thought you did. It's like pouring water into a bottomless cup. No matter how much you pour, it keeps slipping away, leaving you empty, and leaving them just as unsatisfied as before. These are the people who never truly appreciate what you've given. They treat your efforts as if they were nothing, as though you owed them everything you provided. It doesn't matter how much you've sacrificed. They behave as if you're obligated to give more. You lift them up, you support them, but they see your kindness as their right, not as a gift. They expect more and more, and when you finally run out of strength, when you finally say no, they'll twist the situation to make you feel guilty for setting boundaries. You'll hear things like, "I thought you cared," or "Why aren't you helping me anymore?" And in that moment you realize their entitlement has swallowed whatever gratitude they once had. What makes it even more painful is that this behavior often starts quietly. It's not always obvious in the beginning. They may seem thankful at first, but over time it becomes clear that gratitude was never the goal at all. It was simply the opening move to take even more. The moment you stop being their constant source of support, their gratitude evaporates, and so does the connection between you. It's hard to accept, but you must understand that not everyone will value your kindness, and sometimes it has nothing to do with you. It's their inability to recognize the worth of what you've offered. Your energy is precious and limited, which is why protecting it is essential. The Stoics remind us that we cannot control the behavior of others, but we can always control our response. You may have pure intentions, but if someone refuses to acknowledge or appreciate them, you are only fueling their entitlement. Real kindness means knowing when to draw the line. It's not selfishness. It's awareness of your limits, protection of your peace, and the understanding that your generosity should never be taken advantage of. Epictetus once said, "Wealth doesn't come from possessing many things, but from having few wants." That wisdom also applies to emotional energy. It's not about giving everything you have to anyone who reaches out. It's about being conscious of where your energy flows and who deserves to receive it. The ungrateful, by nature, will always demand more. But there comes a moment when you realize their needs are endless, and you cannot keep trying to fill a cup that has no bottom. There's a profound lesson in this. You may feel guilt when stepping away from someone ungrateful, especially after investing so much of yourself. But walking away is actually the most respectful choice for both sides. For them, it offers a chance to you. Understand that they cannot forever depend on others to satisfy their needs. For you, it's a way to preserve your well-being. If you keep giving to someone who never appreciates it, you're not helping. You're enabling them to remain trapped in their entitlement. When you walk away, you're not abandoning them. You're simply acknowledging, "I'm not the one who can solve this for you." Sometimes the most loving act is stepping back and letting someone confront the outcomes of their own behavior. Because the truth is, if they actually valued your support, they would express it with respect and gratitude. If they cannot do that, your kindness becomes an open doorway. They walk through freely as long as you allow it, but once you close that door, you show them that respect must be earned, not demanded. It's easy to fall into the belief that we are obligated to help everyone who reaches out, especially when they wear the mask of helplessness or emotional desperation. But remember, you don't owe anyone your energy. Your kindness is a gift, not a transaction. And like any meaningful gift, it must be given thoughtfully, with awareness of its impact. When you give too much to someone who expects it without gratitude, you take away their chance to build independence and self-respect. True kindness is not an endless cycle of giving. It's understanding when to step back, when to say no, and when to guard your emotional strength. You cannot pour from an empty cup. If you constantly give to someone who only takes, you're not helping them. You're deepening their dependence and sacrificing your own dignity in the process. It's okay to walk away from those who take more than they give. It's not selfish, it's self-respect. And here's the part that matters most. By protecting yourself, you're not abandoning the ungrateful person. You're showing them respect. You're teaching them that they cannot rely on others to solve every problem. You're teaching them that actions have consequences and that the world does not revolve around their desires. Your withdrawal becomes the lesson they must face. If they truly want to grow, they will have no choice but to learn how to stand on their own. So the next time you find yourself giving endlessly and feeling drained by someone who never appreciates anything, remember that it's okay to stop. It's okay to say, "I've given enough," and to walk away. You are not responsible for someone else's lack of gratitude. You are only responsible for your own actions and for setting boundaries that protect your peace. Real kindness isn't about showing up for everyone. It's about knowing who truly deserves your time and energy and recognizing the moment when it's necessary to say no. It may feel difficult in the beginning, but walking away from the ungrateful is one of the best decisions you can make for both of you. By stepping back, you give them a chance to develop and grow, and you give yourself the opportunity to protect your own peace and continue offering support to people who genuinely appreciate it. You'll feel lighter, stronger, and far more empowered, because that is the real strength of kindness, understanding when to give and when to walk away. 3. The arrogant. And then we have the arrogant. These are the people who reject help, not because they don't need it, but because in their minds they already know everything. They believe they've figured it all out. They don't want advice, they want applause. They don't seek guidance, they seek validation. They thrive on arguing, proving their point, reminding you again and again that they're always right, even when they're completely wrong. It's frustrating, isn't it? You can see the right path in front of them. You can clearly offer guidance, but they don't want to hear it. They resist, they push back, they dismiss the truth and ignore the wisdom you're trying to share, because they're addicted to their own ego. For them, life isn't about learning or growing. It's about maintaining the illusion that they're the one who knows it all. And it's tempting, isn't it, to keep trying, to keep explaining, to keep hoping that if you phrase your advice differently, they'll finally understand what you're trying to show them. But here's the reality. The more you try to persuade an arrogant person, the more aggressively they will push back. Their walls grow taller, their defenses grow stronger. The more you attempt to break through, the truth is, no matter how much wisdom you carry, it's wasted on someone who refuses to receive it. And that's a hard truth to accept, especially when you care about them. But sometimes you must understand that it's not your duty to change their mind. If they refuse to listen, your efforts become nothing more than drained energy and frustration. There is a strange kind of freedom in realizing that not everyone is ready to hear what you have to say. The Stoics taught that our time and our energy are limited resources. And it's never worth trying to convince someone who refuses to see the truth. As Epictetus wisely said, it is not events that disturb us, but our judgments about them. When you force your wisdom on someone who has no desire to hear it, you disrupt your own peace. You pour your energy into a battle they have no intention of fighting, instead of trying to shift their perspective. You're far better off preserving your strength and allowing them to face their own mistakes. The arrogant don't seek growth. They don't welcome challenge. They crave superiority. Every attempt to guide them is met with defensiveness because to them, accepting help equals admitting weakness. They would rather remain trapped in their narrow understanding than experience the discomfort of vulnerability. And that's where you often step in, trying to show them they're wrong, trying to guide them toward the right path. But the harder you push, the deeper they dig in. It becomes an endless loop of resistance, leaving you frustrated and depleted. You cannot win that battle. Worse yet, you'll burn yourself out trying. So what's the real solution? Stop trying to convince them. Stop spending your precious energy on someone who has no intention of listening. If they shut their ears to truth, it's not your responsibility to break down their barriers. Let them discover the lessons life will eventually force upon them. It's a harsh truth to accept, but often the best choice is to walk away and allow them to face the consequences of their own decisions. They need to stumble. They need to feel the impact of their arrogance. Only then will they finally recognize the wisdom you once tried to offer. In fact, by continually engaging in useless arguments, you're unintentionally doing them harm. You shield them from the very experiences that could open their eyes. By stepping back, you grant them the space to collide with reality, a collision that may be the only thing capable of teaching them. Think about it. When you keep protecting them from the results of their mistakes, you rob them of the growth that failure naturally brings. Failure isn't an enemy, it's one of life's greatest instructors. But the arrogant, with their inflated sense of certainty, will never learn from failure if you rescue them every time they fall. Your wisdom is valuable, but only when it's shared with those willing to listen. And the arrogant, they don't want truth. They want validation. They want to keep believing they're right even when they're headed toward disaster. So let them fall, because when the consequences hit, they'll finally confront the reality they've been avoiding. And in that moment, they will remember the guidance you once tried to give. But it will be too late for you to intervene. They will have to learn through their own mistakes, just like everyone else. It's painful to step back from someone you care about, especially when you can see the mistake unfolding. But the truth is you cannot change a mind that's closed. The more you push, the more they will resist. The best thing you can do is release your grip and allow them to fall if that's what it takes for them to grow. It's not cruelty. It's tough love in its purest form. Sometimes the only way to help someone is by refusing to help them anymore. This doesn't mean you stop caring or that you never offer advice when appropriate. But you must learn to recognize the difference between someone who is open to growth and someone who merely wants to hear nothing but their own voice. The arrogant never grow because they're convinced they already hold every answer. They don't need more guidance. They need the fall that forces them to see reality for what it is. Only then will they understand that the wisdom you offered wasn't about proving yourself right. It was about helping them look beyond the narrow world they trapped themselves in. In the end, your insight is wasted on the arrogant. Your energy, your time, your clarity, all of it is poured into someone who isn't willing to listen. So stop giving it away so freely. Let them walk their own path. Let them make their own mistakes and learn through the pain that life will hand them. That's the only way they'll ever confront the truth that they've been avoiding. And when that moment finally comes, they'll remember you. They'll recall every piece of advice you tried to share. And maybe, just maybe, they'll finally have the humility to appreciate it. But until that day arrives, turn your focus toward those who are actually open to learning. They're the ones who will truly value what you bring. 4. The manipulators. Manipulators are dangerous, but not in the obvious way you might imagine. They're rarely openly cruel or aggressive. In fact, they often appear harmless, even warm, charming, soft. They don't try to control you with force. They use something far more subtle and powerful, your emotions. Manipulators are skilled at pulling on your sympathy, twisting your compassion into guilt, making you believe that you're the only one who can save them. They cry, they plead, they paint themselves as victims. And before you even realize it, you're running around trying to solve problems that were never yours. You become drained, empty, constantly giving without understanding why you can't seem to walk away. You might tell yourself you're doing the right thing. After all, they act like they desperately need you. They play the part perfectly, helpless, misunderstood, abandoned by the world. and you step in wanting to help, wanting to be the person who makes a difference. But here's the harsh truth. You're not helping them. You're being manipulated into carrying emotional burdens that aren't yours, and the more you give, the more they take. The more you try to fix their life, the deeper they pull you into chaos. What begins as genuine kindness becomes a cycle of emotional control, and soon you're left wondering where your peace went, where your strength went. One of the most painful parts of dealing with manipulators is how they make you feel like you're the villain. Set a boundary, say no, pull back even slightly, and they hit you with guilt. Don't you care about me? I thought you were better than this. They twist your intentions, poke at your insecurities, and before long you're second-guessing your own choices. You wonder if you were being too cruel, too selfish, too distant. But understand this clearly, they're not asking for help. They're demanding control. Manipulators thrive when you feel responsible for their emotions. They need you to feel obligated to save them. That's how they keep you locked in, taking and taking without ever giving anything meaningful back. This is the core of the problem. They turn your kindness into a weapon against you, not always out of deliberate malice, but out of their need for constant validation and emotional dominance. They need you to believe they can't function without you, when the truth is, they've always managed to survive by draining people like you. Carl Jung once said, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are, and when dealing with manipulators, your first step is understanding who you truly are, and what you will no longer allow." The ONL, real protection from manipulators, is recognizing when it's happening, learning to see the pattern the moment it begins, and drawing the line before they pull you into their world. The signs of emotional manipulation reveal themselves early. If someone repeatedly makes you feel guilty for setting boundaries, that alone is a major warning. If they're constantly slipping into the role of the victim, always crying out for help, yet never taking even the smallest step to change their own behavior, you're dealing with a manipulator, and that's exactly when you need to pull back, because the moment you stop reacting to their emotional theatrics, you reclaim control of your life, you stop being the puppet tied to their strings, and you begin to protect your own peace. The more you give, the more they'll take, and the more they take, the more you slowly lose yourself. Setting boundaries with a manipulator is one of the hardest things you'll ever do, especially when you care about them or feel sympathy for their struggles. But never forget this, your emotional energy is your strength, and you cannot allow someone to drain it dry, not for their comfort, not for their validation, but for your own survival. If you're always giving, always showing up, always sacrificing, you will eventually hit empty. You'll be left with nothing for yourself. And that's the moment they win, because you allowed them to take everything from you. Protecting yourself from someone who uses your emotions against you is not selfish. It's absolutely necessary. When you say no, don't apologize, don't justify, don't shrink. When you draw boundaries with a manipulator, they will push back, they will try to shame you, they will twist the story to make you feel cruel, and they will try to convince you that you're doing something wrong. But the truth is, when you stop reacting, you take your power back. You stop letting them control your emotions, your time, your entire life. You become the one in charge of your own energy, and it is your responsibility to guard it fiercely. Every time you react to their emotional demands, you feed their power, you fuel their control. It's like adding wood to a fire, and that fire only grows. But when you stop reacting, when you stop participating in their emotional games, you starve that fire, you weaken the hold they have over you. They will try to provoke you, poke at your insecurities, push your buttons, but if you refuse to engage, they lose their grip. You're not being cold, you're being wise, you're protecting yourself. Stoicism teaches a powerful truth about this. Epictetus once said, "We cannot choose our external circumstances, but we can always choose how we respond to them." And in the case of manipulators, you cannot control their actions, their drama, their emotional chaos, but you can control your response. If you continue reacting with guilt, fear, anger, or desperation, you're strengthening their influence over you. But when you stop reacting, you begin to reclaim your inner power, Remember, manipulators survive on confusion. They want you lost in emotional turbulence, doubting yourself, questioning your choices, second-guessing your boundaries. They want you to believe you're responsible for their emotions. They want you to think that without you, they would fall apart. But the truth is they don't need you. They just need someone they can control, and that someone doesn't have to be you. In the end, the most powerful thing you can do for a manipulator is to stop feeding their behavior. Stop cushioning their fall. Stop absorbing the consequences that belong to them. Let them face the reality they've been running from. Let them deal with the weight of their own decisions. You are not responsible for their happiness, their sadness, their chaos. Your only responsibility is to yourself, and by setting strong boundaries, you're not only protecting your peace, you're teaching them that they can't keep dumping their emotional burden onto someone else. And once you stop reacting, once you stop letting them pull your strings, life becomes clearer, your emotional balance returns, your sense of self strengthens, your peace settles back into place. And when you look back, you'll see just how much of your energy was wasted on someone who never actually needed your help. They only needed your compliance. It's not your duty to save people from the consequences of their own actions. And when that truth finally sinks in, you become free from their emotional traps, free from guilt, free to invest your energy where it actually matters. 5. The evil and cruel. Now let's talk about the truly evil and cruel, the people who intentionally choose to hurt others. These individuals are different. They know exactly what they're doing, and they do it with purpose. Their actions aren't accidental. They aren't innocent mistakes. They hurt others deliberately, sometimes for entertainment, sometimes for control, and sometimes simply because it gives them a sense of power. It's tempting to believe that no one chooses cruelty, that everyone has good in them somewhere. But the harsh reality is that some people actively choose to be this way. They don't care about your feelings or anyone else's. All they care about is keeping their dominance, even if it means crushing whoever stands in their way. At first, it's difficult to understand why anyone would willingly behave like this. We want to believe that beneath the surface, there's some hidden kindness. But these people aren't operating from hidden goodness. They operate from calculated intention. They may show moments of softness or pretend to care when it benefits them, but none of that is genuine. Their behavior is strategic. Every action has a purpose. They've learned to use cruelty as a tool and manipulation as a weapon. And the more compassion you show them, the more you enable them, the more you try to save them, the more you participate in their destruction. You're not helping them change. You're giving them more room to hurt others. Carl Jung once said, "The most terrifying thing is to accept oneself completely." What he meant was this: some people are fully aware of their darkness, of their desires, of their harmful nature, and they don't want to change. They accept their cruelty as who they are, and that makes them far more dangerous, because once they embrace it, they stop hiding it. They start using it openly. They enjoy it. They view people as tools to manipulate and dominate, and their conscience doesn't interfere. They're not interested in growth, not in redemption, not in becoming better. They're chasing power, control, and dominance, and what makes them even more dangerous is their ability to prey on your empathy. They know how to twist their story, how to trigger your compassion, how to make you believe they're the ones suffering. They'll play the victim, pretend to be wounded, make you think they need rescuing. But here's the painful truth. Helping someone who has zero intention of changing isn't help at all. It's not compassion when you keep trying to save someone who has chosen cruelty. It's enabling. You're not rescuing them, you're feeding the cycle of harm. You might convince yourself that if you give one more chance, or show a little more patience, or offer a bit more love, they'll change. But that's not reality. People who deliberately hurt others aren't looking for help. They're seeking validation for their behavior. They want to continue acting without consequence. And the longer you try to fix them, the deeper you get pulled into their darkness. It's essential to understand that not every person can or should be saved. Some people need consequences, not compassion. If you keep giving them free passes, you're only enabling their toxic behavior. When someone consciously chooses to hurt others, They must face the results of their actions. If you shield them from those consequences, you're simply allowing their destructive cycle to continue. In truth, your kindness becomes a shield, helping them hide from the reality of their own choices. It's time to stop wasting your energy on people who deliberately inflict harm. The Stoics had a clear perspective on this. They believed true compassion should never come at the expense of your own well-being or the well-being of others. Marcus Aurelius famously said, "The best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury." This teaches us that the right way to handle evil is not by trying to redeem it or save it, but by refusing to engage with it. Your kindness and compassion cannot transform someone who enjoys causing pain. The most powerful action in these situations is to step back, protect your energy, and allow them to experience the consequences of their own choices. By withdrawing, you stop giving them power over you. You stop fueling their cruelty. At first you might feel guilty. It's hard to walk away from someone who's hurting, even if that hurt is self-inflicted or comes from the harm they've caused. But the truth is, when you try to help someone who deliberately chooses cruelty, you're not fixing them. You're allowing their destructive patterns to continue. The more you intervene to protect them from consequences, the more you become part of the darkness they've created. You might think you're offering redemption, but in reality, all you're doing is enabling them to keep hurting others. So what should you do when faced with someone who chooses cruelty? The answer is clear. Step back. Withdraw your energy and support. Don't play their games. Don't try to fix them. And don't allow yourself to be drawn into their toxic cycle. When you stop reacting to their cruelty, you reclaim control. You stop giving them energy to feed off. This is one of the toughest lessons to internalize, because walking away from someone skilled at manipulation is never easy. But by stepping back, you give them the space to face their own actions, to encounter the consequences of their choices. Your kindness alone will not change someone who has decided to remain in darkness, and instead of trying to save them, you protect yourself while allowing reality to teach the lessons they refuse to learn. Let them fall. Let them confront the reality of their own actions. It is not your duty to shoulder the burden of their cruelty. And if you continue to carry it, you will find yourself weighed down, lost beneath the shadow of their darkness. Protect your soul from being stained by the choices of others. Let them experience the world as it truly is, not as you wish it could be for them. Only in facing that reality will they have any chance of understanding the consequences of their cruelty. Your compassion is meant to be a gift, not a burden. It is meant to lift, to inspire, to bring light, not to drain you of your energy, your peace, and your happiness. When you give your time and strength to people who deliberately choose to hurt others, you lose sight of the true purpose of kindness. You surrender your power, your inner calm, your joy, to someone with no intention of changing. Learn to recognize the moment when giving ceases to serve anyone, when it is time to step back, when it is time to safeguard your soul, and when it is time to protect yourself from the darkness of those who inflict harm. You cannot save someone who refuses to be saved. The only thing within your power is to let them face the outcomes of their own choices, and allow them to learn lessons that kindness alone can never teach. 6. Protecting your energy is not selfish. One of the hardest lessons in life is understanding that protecting your energy is not selfish, it is necessary. So often we feel guilty for saying no, for stepping back, for putting our peace above someone else's chaos. But the Stoics remind us that our energy is finite, and if we constantly give it to those who will never appreciate it or will actively misuse it, we are left depleted, vulnerable, and unable to live our own lives fully. Setting boundaries is not rejection, it is self-respect. It is acknowledging that you cannot carry the weight of everyone's choices or behaviors, and that your responsibility ends with yourself. You cannot fix everyone. You cannot save those who refuse to be saved. And when you accept that truth, you begin to reclaim your freedom. Pay attention to the people in your life who drain you, the ones who never seem satisfied, the ones who manipulate, complain, or take advantage. These are the individuals you must learn to step back from, not out of cruelty but out of wisdom. not out of anger, but out of necessity. Every time you allow someone to pull your energy away, you are giving them control over your mind, your emotions, your life, and no one should have that power over you. Not the lazy, not the ungrateful, not the arrogant, not the manipulative, and not the cruel. Remember that your peace is sacred, your energy is precious, your time is limited, and it is your right, your duty, to protect all three. Because when you preserve yourself, you are able to give to those who truly deserve it, to those who are ready to grow, to learn, and to respect the support you offer. Walking away from toxic energy does not mean you stop caring. It means you care enough about yourself to stop being complicit in the harm they see are. It means you are strong enough to say, I will not be dragged into your chaos anymore. And by doing so, you teach the most important lesson, that no one can control you, take your peace, or diminish your strength without your consent. 7. Cultivating inner strength. Once you begin to step back from those who drain you, once you stop giving your energy to those who refuse to grow or change, you create space to cultivate something far more powerful, your own inner strength. Inner strength is not built by avoiding challenges or sheltering yourself from difficulty. It is forged in the moments you choose to stand firm, when you refuse to be manipulated, when you refuse to carry burdens that aren't yours. It grows every time you protect your peace, every time you set a boundary, every time you say no to those who would exploit your kindness. The Stoics believed that true power comes from within, that external circumstances, other people's actions, and the chaos of the world cannot take away the calm, the clarity, and the resilience you build inside yourself. By focusing on what you can control, your thoughts, your actions, your responses, you strengthen your mind, and that strength becomes a shield against those who would weaken you. Cultivating inner strength also means learning patience. It means understanding that not everyone will change, not everyone will appreciate your help, and not everyone deserves your attention, but you will remain steadfast, unshaken by their drama, their cruelty, or their attempts to pull you back into their chaos. This strength allows you to live intentionally, to invest your energy in people and experiences that truly matter, to give love without being drained, to help without enabling, to act with compassion without sacrificing your own well-being. Every time you practice this discipline, you become more resilient, more self-aware, more capable of navigating life with clarity and purpose. And slowly you begin to attract the right people into your life. Those who value, respect, and reciprocate your energy, and those who do not are naturally left behind because you are no longer a resource to exploit. You are a force to respect. Remember, cultivating inner strength is a daily practice. It is reinforced by reflection, self-discipline, and mindful action, and it is the foundation for living a life of freedom, clarity, and true peace. Because the stronger you are inside, the less the world outside can shake you. 8. Knowing when to walk away. One of the most important skills you can develop in life is knowing when to walk away. Walking away is not weakness, it is wisdom. It is the recognition that not every battle is yours to fight, not every person is yours to save, and not every situation deserves your energy. Many people struggle with this because they confuse kindness with obligation. They feel guilty for stepping back. They believe that leaving someone to face the consequences of their choices is cruel. But true compassion is not about holding someone above their own mistakes. It is about understanding that some lessons can only be learned through experience, and sometimes the only way for someone to grow is to let them face reality on their own. Recognizing when to walk away requires clarity. You must observe patterns of behavior, not just isolated incidents. If someone consistently drains your energy, if they refuse to take responsibility, if they manipulate, lie, or show no intention of changing, then continuing to invest in them is harming you as much as it does them. Walking away also requires courage. It can feel uncomfortable. It can feel unfair, especially when you care about someone or feel responsible for them. But courage is choosing yourself, choosing your peace, choosing to live with integrity rather than being trapped in someone else's chaos. When you walk away, you are not giving up, you are not abandoning, you are setting a bound. Airy. You are taking control of your life and teaching both yourself and the other person a vital lesson, that your energy is valuable, that your time is finite, and that no one has the right to exploit it. The more you practice walking away when necessary, the more attuned you become to your own limits, the more empowered you feel in every decision you make. You start to notice the difference between people who lift you up and people who weigh you down. And with that awareness comes freedom, the freedom to invest in yourself, to cultivate your inner strength, and to live life on your own terms. Remember, walking away is not a failure. It is a choice, a disciplined, courageous, and stoic choice that preserves your peace, protects your energy, and allows you to live with purpose. 9. Maintaining peace while engaging with the world. Once you've learned to protect your energy and walk away from those who drain you, the next challenge is maintaining your peace while still living in a world full of chaos and conflict. Life will always present situations and people who test your boundaries, who provoke, challenge, or try to manipulate you. And it is here that your inner discipline becomes essential. Maintaining peace doesn't mean isolating yourself or avoiding life. It means learning to engage without being consumed, to care without being exploited, to act without sacrificing your well-being. It is the balance between presence and detachment, compassion and self-preservation. The Stoics taught that we cannot control the actions of others, but we can control how we respond. If someone acts with cruelty, selfishness, or malice, your responsibility is not to fix them. It is to respond wisely, to act in accordance with your principles, and to protect your peace. Practicing this requires constant awareness, noticing when a situation is beginning to drain you, when a conversation is becoming manipulative, or when someone is attempting to pull you into their drama, and choosing consciously to step back, to disengage, to protect your mental and emotional space. Peace is not passive. It is active. It is cultivated through boundaries, reflection, and deliberate choice. Every time you refuse to react to provocation, every time you protect your energy, every time you act from calm rather than emotion, you are strengthening your inner fortress. And the more disciplined you become, the less external chaos can disturb your equilibrium. Engaging with the world while maintaining peace also means prioritizing yourself, choosing to surround yourself with those who respect your boundaries, those who appreciate your energy, and those who challenge you in ways that foster growth rather than destruction. Your time, energy, and attention are not unlimited, and learning to allocate them wisely is one of the greatest acts of self-respect. Remember, maintaining peace is a continuous practice. It requires vigilance, self-awareness, and courage, but it is also the path to true freedom. Freedom from manipulation, guilt, and unnecessary conflict, and it is the foundation for living a life of purpose, clarity, and strength. 10. Cultivating relationships that elevate you. Once you've learned to protect your energy and maintain your peace, the next step is to intentionally cultivate relationships that elevate you. Not every connection deserves your time, your trust, or your care. Your relationship should add value, inspire growth, and reinforce the strength you've built within yourself. Surround yourself with people who respect your boundaries, who support your growth without draining your energy, who challenge you in ways that encourage reflection and improvement. These are the relationships that honor both parties, that foster mutual respect, trust, and empowerment. Avoid those who repeatedly exploit, manipulate, or harm. Why? Those who leave you feeling drained, anxious, or resentful. Those who demand more than they give, because energy flows where attention goes. And if you invest your attention in toxic people, you weaken your own capacity for growth, happiness, and fulfillment. Choose to invest in relationships that are reciprocal, where support, kindness, and respect are mutual, where growth is encouraged, not hindered, and where compassion is a gift freely given and appreciated. This is the kind of environment in which you can thrive, the kind of community that strengthens your inner resilience, and the kind of connection that reinforces your stoic practice of intentional living. Remember, the quality of your relationships reflects the quality of your life. By choosing wisely whom to keep close, you are not being selfish, you are being wise. You are protecting your peace, your energy, and your ability to live purposefully. Every act of discernment in relationships is an act of self-respect. And it is through these thoughtful choices that you create a life filled with meaningful connections, genuine support, and lasting strength. As you cultivate these relationships, you will notice a profound shift in your energy. Your focus will sharpen, your peace will deepen, and your life will begin to align with your values and intentions. 11. Applying Stoic wisdom daily. Learning to protect your energy, set boundaries, and cultivate meaningful relationships is only the beginning. The true power comes when you apply Stoic wisdom consistently in your daily life. It is not enough to understand these principles intellectually. They must become habits, choices, and actions that shape your everyday. Start by observing your thoughts and reactions. Notice when you feel compelled to overgive, to rescue, or to fix someone else's life. Pause and ask yourself, am I acting out of compassion or obligation? Am I preserving my peace or surrendering it? These reflections create awareness, and awareness is the first step toward mastery. Practice responding rather than reacting. When someone challenges you, manipulates you, or drains your energy, you have the power to choose your response. You can maintain calm, assert boundaries, and disengage without anger or guilt. This is the essence of Stoic self-mastery, understanding that you cannot control others, only yourself. Embrace adversity as a teacher. Every difficult interaction, every toxic encounter is an opportunity to strengthen your inner fortitude. If you are pulled into chaos, reflect, what can I learn from this? How can I respond in alignment with my principles rather than my emotions? This mindset transforms challenges into lessons and pain into growth. Daily practice also means prioritizing your energy intentionally. Choose who to spend time with, what to engage in, and where to focus your efforts. Avoid situations and people who repeatedly drain you, and instead invest in what nurtures your growth, your peace, and your purpose. Remember, Stoicism is about clarity, discipline, and self-control. By applying these principles daily, you reduce the influence of toxic people in your life. You strengthen your resilience, you deepen your understanding of yourself, and you create a life governed not by the whims of others, but by your own conscious choices. As you live this way, you will notice a profound shift. Your energy becomes your own, your peace becomes unshakable, and your relationships, actions, and decisions reflect your values. You no longer react to the chaos around you. Instead, you engage intentionally, wisely, and powerfully. 12. Embracing freedom and mastery over your life. Once you have learned to protect your energy, set boundaries, and apply Stoic principles daily, you begin to experience a profound sense of freedom. Freedom from manipulation, from guilt, from the expectations of those who would drain you. Freedom from chaos, conflict, and unnecessary drama. This freedom is not given by the world. It is claimed through disciplined action and conscious choice. Mastery over your life comes from recognizing what is within your control and what is not. You cannot control other people's decisions, behaviors, or attitudes, but you can control your responses, your choices, and your actions. This awareness allows you to move through the world with clarity, intention, and purpose. You no longer allow others to dictate your emotions, your energy, or your worth. Embracing this mastery also means taking responsibility for yourself fully, to act in accordance with your values, to protect your peace relentlessly, and to invest your energy only in pursuits and people that align with your growth and purpose. You are no longer a passive participant in life. You are the author of your own story, and each choice you make strengthens your sense of agency and resilience. True mastery also requires detachment from outcomes. You do your part, set your boundaries, and act wisely, but you do not demand gratitude, recognition, or change from others. You accept reality as it is, rather than as you wish it could be, and in doing so, you preserve your energy and protect your inner peace. Freedom and mastery are the culmination of all the lessons you have learned, from stepping back from the lazy, the ungrateful, the arrogant, the manipulative, and the cruel, from cultivating inner strength, from walking away when necessary, and from surrounding yourself with those who elevate rather than drain you. These practices combine to create a life where your energy is protected, your mind is clear, and your spirit is strong. The Stoics taught that true power is the ability to live in accordance with reason, virtue, and self-discipline. By claiming your freedom and mastering your life, you embody these principles. You become resilient against toxicity, unshakable in adversity, and intentional in every action. And in that state, you are no longer defined by the chaos around you. You are defined by your choices, your strength, and your wisdom. 13. The path forward. Now that you have learned to protect your energy, set boundaries, cultivate inner strength, and engage with the world intentionally, the final step is to live fully in alignment with these lessons. Life will continue to present challenges, difficult people, and moments that test your patience and resolve. But you now have the tools, the wisdom, and the mindset to navigate them with clarity and purpose. Remember that your time, energy, and attention are your most precious resources. Choose carefully where to invest them. Invest in growth, in meaningful connections, in actions that strengthen your mind, body, and spirit. Avoid those who drain, manipulate, or harm, not out of cruelty or anger, but out of self-respect, discipline, and wisdom. Embrace the Stoic principle. That you cannot control others, only yourself. Focus on your responses, your actions, and your growth. Every choice to walk away from toxicity. Every act of discipline to protect your peace. Every moment of reflection and conscious decision-making strengthens your freedom and deepens your mastery over your life. The path ahead will not always be easy. There will be moments of doubt, guilt, or temptation to revert to old habits. But each time you honor your boundaries, preserve your energy, and act with wisdom, you reinforce your inner strength and resilience. You are no longer a passive participant in life. You are the deliberate architect of your own destiny. Ultimately, living by these principles allows you to cultivate a life of purpose, clarity, and peace. You are free from the manipulation of others, unshakable in the face of adversity, and empowered to grow continuously. The world will always contain those who drain, harm, or exploit, but you now know how to engage wisely, protect yourself fiercely, and act compassionately when it truly matters. So move forward with courage, with discipline, with clarity, and with intention. Protect your energy, invest in what deserves it, walk away when necessary, and cultivate relationships, actions, and a life that reflects your highest values. This is the ultimate practice of Stoicism. This is the life of a person who understands the power of their own choices and who lives with purpose, strength, and freedom. 14. Living with purpose and integrity. It is measured by your commitment to act in alignment with your values, to preserve your peace, and to use your energy wisely. Living with purpose means making conscious choices every day. It means reflecting on where you invest your time and effort. It means surrounding yourself with people who lift you up and stepping away from those who pull you down. It means responding with wisdom instead of reacting with emotion, and knowing that your inner strength is your greatest asset. Integrity comes from consistency between your values and your actions. It is the courage to act rightly, even when it is difficult, even when it goes unnoticed or unappreciated. It is refusing to compromise your peace or principles to satisfy the demands or expectations of others. And it is the unwavering discipline to remain true to yourself in the face of adversity. By living with purpose and integrity, you create a life that is resilient, meaningful, and self-directed. You no longer surrender your energy to those who do not deserve it. You no longer allow others to dictate your emotions, your actions, or your sense of worth. And you no longer participate in cycles of harm, manipulation, or chaos. Instead, you live intentionally. You act with clarity, strength, and wisdom. You engage with the world from a place of calm and self-respect, and you allow your energy, time, and attention to flow toward what truly matters: growth, learning, meaningful relationships, and the pursuit of a life aligned with your highest values. This is the culmination of Stoic practice, the realization that your life is yours to shape, your peace is yours to protect, and your choices determine the quality of your experiences. Walk forward knowing that you have the power to navigate life with purpose, strength, and integrity, and that by doing so, you embody the very essence of wisdom, resilience, and freedom. 15. Taking ownership of your life. It means understanding that no one else can carry your burdens, protect your boundaries, or live your purpose for you, and that trying to do so for others who refuse to grow only weakens you. When you take ownership, you stop blaming circumstances, toxic people, or the chaos around you. You acknowledge the truth. Your life is the result of your actions, decisions, and mindset, and this acknowledgement is liberating, because it puts the power back in your hands. No one can take it from you unless you allow it. Ownership also means embracing accountability, not just for successes, but for failures too. It means learning from mistakes instead of avoiding them. It means facing challenges head-on instead of running from them. And it means accepting that growth is rarely comfortable but always necessary. When you fully own your life, you begin to make choices aligned with your highest self. You invest your energy where it matters. You walk away from people and situations that drain or diminish you, and you engage only with those who uplift, challenge, and inspire you. This is how freedom is cultivated, this is how resilience is built, and this is how a life of purpose is lived. Taking ownership is not a one-time act, it is a daily practice. It requires vigilance, reflection, and the courage to act consistently with your values. Every decision to protect your energy, every choice to disengage from toxicity, every act of self-discipline is a step toward mastery over your own life. Remember, no one owes you respect, peace, or consideration. You must claim it for yourself, and by doing so, you create a life that is not dictated by the whims of others, the chaos of the world, or the manipulations of the ungrateful, arrogant, or cruel. You create a life that reflects your values, your strength, and your wisdom. And in the end, taking ownership is not just about control, it is about freedom. Freedom to live intentionally, freedom to grow, and freedom to become the person you were meant to be, the ignorant who refuse to learn. Let's talk about the ignorant, those who refuse to learn. These are the individuals who seem trapped in an endless cycle, repeating the same mistakes endlessly while blaming everyone and everything except themselves. They appear blind to the patterns in their lives, blind to the cause and effect of their own actions. They fail to see that their repeated choices are leading them down a destructive path again and again, and what makes it even more frustrating is that they have no desire to see it. They are uninterested in growth, unwilling to learn, and clinging to the comfort of their routines, because deep down they believe they don't need to change. You've probably encountered people like this before. No matter how much guidance you provide, no matter how many times you attempt to show them a better way, they don't listen. They become defensive, make excuses, or simply ignore the advice you give. It's exasperating, isn't it? You can see so clearly the steps they need to take to improve their situation, yet they refuse to take even one step. It's like handing someone a map while they insist on walking in circles. No matter how often you present the path forward, they refuse to acknowledge it. As Carl Jung once said, you are what you do, not what you say you will do. The ignorant embody this perfectly. They can speak eloquently about change, promise to do better, and recite all the right words, but when it comes to action, nothing happens. They repeat the same mistakes, make the same poor decisions, and refuse to take responsibility, instead blaming external circumstances or other people. This refusal to own their lives keeps them trapped in a relentless cycle of self-destruction. They may claim they want to change, but if change were truly their goal, they would confront their own flaws, reflect on their choices, and learn from past mistakes. Instead, they cling to old habits, expecting different results, while avoiding the hard work of introspection. The reality is you cannot force anyone to learn. No matter how deeply you care, no matter how badly you want them to see their blind spots, if they are not ready, nothing you offer will make a difference. The more you push, the harder they resist. They dig their heels in, convincing themselves they don't need change, that life's misfortunes or others' actions are to blame. It is easier for them to externalize responsibility than face their own shortcomings. In these situations, the most effective course of action is to let life teach them. It may be painful to watch someone stumble, especially someone you care for deeply, but sometimes the only true lessons come through experiencing the consequences of one's actions. When you shield them from those consequences, you deprive them of the opportunity to grow, to learn the truths that only come from hitting rock bottom. It is not cruel, it is necessary. You cannot carry someone who refuses to help themselves. At some point you must accept that their journey is their own, and that you cannot force them onto a path they are not ready to walk. It is easy to feel as if you are abandoning someone by stepping back, but that is not the case. What you are doing is setting a clear boundary, a boundary that states you will not expend your time and energy on someone unwilling to change. In doing so, you are showing them respect, allowing them to take ownership of their growth. You are not abandoning them, you are giving them the space to face the results of their choices. Sometimes the most loving act is to step away and let them navigate their path on their own. This can be one of the hardest acts of love, particularly when your concern is genuine. It is painful to watch someone repeatedly self-destruct when you know you could help if they would only listen. But stepping in repeatedly is not kindness, it is enabling. The more you rescue them, the more you reinforce the notion that they don't need to change. They learn nothing from their mistakes, because someone is always there to clean up their mess. While this may provide temporary comfort, it only delays the inevitable moment of reckoning. Eventually there will be a point when no one can intervene, and that is when true lessons begin. The Stoics teach that we are responsible for our own actions and our own responses. We cannot control the actions of others. Attempting to change someone who refuses to change is beyond your power. You cannot force them to take responsibility, and if they are unwilling to act, your efforts are wasted. Focus on what you can control, your own responses, your own choices, and your own peace. When it comes to the ignorant who refuse to learn, sometimes the wisest response is to step back and allow them to experience the consequences of their actions. Do not fear walking away from those who are not ready. It is not your job to fix them. You cannot help someone unwilling to help themselves. The more you try, the more you compromise your own peace. In the long run, stepping back is the most respectful act for both parties. Allow them to face their mistakes, to learn from failures, and if they are ready to change, they will do so. You cannot force their growth. You can only control your own actions and choose to protect your energy. It is okay to let go. It is okay to stop giving your time and energy to those unprepared to take responsibility. By stepping away, you honor both their journey and your own well-being. Protect your energy, set your boundaries, let life teach the lessons that kindness alone cannot. You are not responsible for their growth, but you are responsible for your peace. Choose wisely where you invest your time and energy. If this resonates, take the step toward claiming your own life, protecting your boundaries, and focusing on growth for yourself and those truly ready to learn.